Oh
Yeah,
my
there's some people there. Yeah, we've been keeping them updated.
Wow. Hello, everybody. Super sorry. Thanks for waiting. And I don't even know where to start.
We're not, it doesn't look.
Doesn't look like we're
there we
live
go.
yet.
It's live now.
We're live.
We're live now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we are.
we're good.
We're live.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We've been keeping.
So, okay, everybody, let's start that again. Thanks for joining us. We are finally live. I've gone live from my iPad before, and today it decided that it wasn't going to let me. So luckily my friends were with me the whole drive home and we got to chat.
It was fun.
So thank you all so much for coming. Do you want to take a quick second and introduce yourselves? And then we'll get right started with feedback. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
All right, Mary, you are in my top left. Why don't you go first?
Hi, I'm Mary Maple from thrivewithmary.com, and I have been with VIPKid for 3 years. I just signed my 6th contract, and feedback is one of those things that I feel like I do really well, so I'm excited to share with you. My percentage is about 65% 5-apple feedback, and
Nice.
average over the last year, and I feel like I know how to connect with parents and get them engaged and give them what they need, and in return they send me my apples, so I'm thrilled.
Nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in the middle, and I will say feedback is really hard for me. I struggle with it, so I'm excited to bring this topic or help with this topic in any way I can. I will be full of questions rather than answers today. So, okay, Kasie, you are in my next top right.
All right, so hey everyone, I'm teacher Kasie from kasieteaches.weebly.com, and I've been with VIPKid for 2 years now, actually over 2 years, and I'm also with VIPKid and OutSchool, and also Palfish. So I'm with a bunch of companies. And feedback, yeah, I don't know, I've been doing feedback, and I use Feedback Panda mostly, but yeah. I get a lot of a lot of good I don't know, 5 apples back. So yeah, really exciting.
Good. Marianne?
Okay, I'm Marianne from, I don't know, Nowheresville. I don't have anything special. And soon to be OutSchool, hopefully. Anyway, so I've just signed my 6th contract a couple months ago as well. And feedback is I've changed it over the years. I've listened to a lot of people. Nobody really wants to show or tell about it, you know, just I think everybody's like, well, this is how I do it. And it's, I don't know, I've never tried Feedback Panda or anything, but I have changed the way I've done it over the years, and I try to keep it simple because I think that's what the parents want. So
Good. And new to our group, we have Cindy Pummer. Hey, Cindy.
I'm so excited to be here. Okay. So I am Cindy Pummer, and you can find me on YouTube, Cindy Pummer. And I've been with VIPKid for a little over 2 years, and I use Feedback Panda. I did take a while before I got to Feedback Panda, but I'm very glad that I did. But yeah, feedback can be overwhelming when you don't have a system in place. So I'm interested to hear what other people have to say as well. So
yeah, good. Amanda Panda.
Hello, Amanda Panda teacher. I'm your sunshine girl from California. This morning I was awake at 2:45 a.m. Last week, I suffered my very first teacher no-show for technical issues. I couldn't get into class. It was awful. So now I'm an iPad user. I wish Cindy was here, Cindy Bennett. I would say thank you because I have a backup iPad now. I'm Amanda Panda teacher, an Etsy seller, Teachers Pay Teachers seller, WordPress blogger, everything all around the sun. That's me. I'm so excited to tell you about feedback. I have some good tips. I get really good numbers, but man, Mary, 65%? Girl,
Yes.
I'm a 35er and I thought that was awesome. Wow.
3%.
Oh,
Wow.
we gotta help you, Kasie.
Yes. And Melissa.
Hello, I'm teacher Melissa, and I'm on Instagram. I have a podcast, Mornings with Melissa, and I have a Facebook page, VIPKid Friends. So join. I've been with the company for 3 years, and I thought I was pretty good with my 50% feedback, but Mary's blowing everybody out of the water here. But I use Feedback Panda, and I think I do recommend it. But the one tip I say is, don't copy and paste those templates exactly. Use that as a base and personalize it, because I really think the personalization, talking to the parents, talking about the students is what makes the difference with my average there.
Good, very
Absolutely.
good. So we already have the chat going here, which has been going on since before I got here. I'm so sorry. If you guys have questions for me or for the panel, please put them in all caps so that we can find them easier. And yeah, let's get started. So I wanted to talk about the different types of feedback. So really quick, and if I miss anything, let me know. So we have after class feedback, which we do for our courses, and UAs, our unit assessments. We have parent feedback, which comes from the parents to us sometimes, which is what you hear us talking about, the percentages. We have teacher to teacher feedback, which is always a subjective kind of topic. So here you will hear all sides, I think. And we do not argue in our group. I seriously have seen arguments over this topic, and I think I'm kind of one of those people that kind of tries to look at things from all sides. So I'm always like, I don't understand why we're arguing. You do it one way. But anyway, so we'll talk about that, teacher to teacher feedback. We can leave feedback for LPs. What am I missing, guys? Anything else you can think of?
We can thank the parents after their feedback too. So like when they give us a feedback, we can write them a little thank you.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I do that too. All right, so let's start with an easier one. Let's talk about parent feedback. I mean, it means a lot to us, but I think it's kind of an easier topic that we all agree we need more parent feedback at times. So anybody want to start with something parent feedback?
I'll start. So for me, parent feedback begins with the connection with the parent in the classroom. So especially if they're a younger child, it's connect with them if you have the opportunity to say hello to them. I believe that feedback with the parent is my opportunity to communicate with them. So whatever I leave as feedback for the student, I often leave a question that I would like them to respond to. Okay, so if there's a unit about color, I will ask, can you please help me know Bao Bao's favorite colors, or who is in your family? So that's level 2, but still, then I can customize the lesson for your child. I made a little thing here of a kind of a standard. Is this reversed or can you see it?
Nope, it's perfect.
Okay, so one of the standard things I will write to a relatively new parent is, your thoughts and ideas are important to me. Please consider leaving me your valuable feedback to let me know what Bao Bao enjoyed in today's lesson. This will allow me to customize the future classes together. So the moment I tell them why I would like their feedback, because it will benefit their child, and then I actually do incorporate those things into our next lesson together, and then they send more feedback and thank me for that, and we keep that conversation going. So it may be about, what are they doing on the weekend? What's their hobby? What's their color? What's their family? But get a conversation going. And when possible, connect to them live in the classroom, because once they know you, once you are establishing that rapport, they want to give you what you need to succeed. I have also said to parents, when you leave 5 Apple reviews, it helps me progress within VIPKid. So they say, oh, this is a way I can help you. I didn't know that you getting 5 apples helps you get a raise. We want you to be happy. Let me leave you feedback. So letting them know that it assists you in progressing with the company is really beneficial as well.
Good.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
I've told my parents, thank you for your 5 apple feedback. It means so much to me, but it also means so much to VIPKid. And then I let them know, in our little private feedback just from the classes that, I was able to get a raise or I was able to get another position. And I think that makes them feel good that their teacher is progressing with the company. So yeah, I agree with that completely. Tell them why you want it.
Exactly.
Now, do you tell them why, like how often do you tell them? Is it standard in all of your feedbacks, or do you just every once in a while, like I think it was Amanda that talked about UAs, like they don't always read everything, but in a UA, they'll probably read it to a T more. What do you
If
think?
they've left me feedback recently, then I say thank you for your feedback that you left, and I thank them on the feedback page.
Yeah.
But maybe every other lesson for like maybe someone who hasn't left feedback, or a new student, I might leave it the second lesson, not the first one, because I know if they take that second class and they liked the first class, and so then I'm going to ask for it.
Good. Anybody else want to weigh in? Yeah, Amanda.
Oh, I'll just repeat that advice. So parents are getting, especially the kids that take a lot of classes. So if you think of your own child, your child taking special classes, do you have time to sit down and read every single feedback from every class? Probably
Right.
not. I have a kid that takes 3 classes a week. Some kids take more. But the unit assessments, the parents do read and look at. So in those, I write my little, Mary has her message. Mine is, thank you for your class feedback. I work hard to make each class special. I enjoy hearing from parents. This was a great class. Thank you, Teacher Amanda. And then that's all I put in. I also cycle my requests for feedback so that I teach regulars, tons of regulars. So I've kind of got them trained. So they just automatically pop in me some feedback, because from the very beginning, when I started with them, I started asking them every single class. So everyone at the bottom, I work hard to make each class special. Thank you for leaving your class feedback. I enjoy hearing from parents. So they heard that from me 2 years ago. So many times they're like, yeah, we got it. Let's send a 5 apple. So it happens automatically. I don't have to work so hard to get it now.
Oh, nice.
Now that I have established students, but it's about training parents. It's kind of like we're teaching them the ropes. Like, what do we need? What do they need to do? How can they support? How can they support us? We're training them. But the unit assessment is the most important one. Every single unit assessment, even though my parents are trained, I always write that thank you to the parents. And then I cycle through. So after I was established for like the last 6 months, every 2 weeks is my feedback week. I would write my little message, thank you, please leave me 5 apples. And then I would skip the next week. Then the following week, I would leave that message at the end. So I would alternate and have a little cut and paste from a Google Doc. I would just pull and put it right in, and then be able to paste and send to my parents. So that's kind of how, it's just a way of building your business. It's a way, every 5 apple feedback, it's not just a 5 apple feedback. Parents, when they search for classes, they put in qualifiers. I want a class at this time. I want a class with this type of teacher with this degree or such and such, or 5 apple feedback. And so what happens is when the computer algorithm thinks and searches, it goes blah, 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 and it puts to the top all those 5 apples. So the more 5 apple feedbacks that you have for classes, that's why you get the same class over and over too. So like, unfortunately, I must have did a great job on a mammals and bird lesson once. And man, those all cycle back to me. I taught 5 of the same one for like 2 months. I was going to die. What happened? Why do I keep getting this class? It's because I got a 5 apple feedback on that class. And so it bumps me to the top of the search when parents are searching. So the 5 apples are not just for our raise requirements. They're really important. They're super important.
I think it's interesting. I have so many regulars, and I've never like trained them or talked to them about it until I was like, oh no, what do I do now? And it's kind of like late, I think. But I will tell you, I had 2 1-apple feedbacks, and you'll see that in a different video, get invalidated. But my regulars jumped on it, and they are covering it already. This week I have 5 5-apple feedbacks from parents. Just, I don't know if they saw it and were like, oh no, you're not, I have no idea. But all of a sudden they started giving them to me this week after I got the 2 1-apple feedbacks. So I was like, wow, maybe they got to see that too. But
Yeah, I think they see that. I see that a lot too. With, you know, even if it's a 5-apple review, but like maybe the comments aren't so great, the regular parents will come in and they'll be like, no, she's great. You know, like I had one that said we felt like she stuck to the curriculum or she was too structured. And you know, I had like 4 or 5 regular parents that came right after it that said her classes are very personal. She's gotten to know my daughter, you know, like kind of directly contradicting. And so I mean, that's kind of proof to me they see it and they're going to come in and kind of defend you a little bit.
This one regular had never, ever gave me any Apple feedback at all. And then all of a sudden they gave me a 5 and I was like, oh, yes.
And you can train them to leave multiple feedbacks. Like Amanda was saying, you teach students several times a week. I teach Sunny every day. 7 days a week I'm teaching Sunny. And so I kind of threw feedback and her mom's not on WeChat with me. So just threw feedback and the reply to feedback, I kind of told her, you can leave more than one. And so now every time we have a unit assessment, a lesson 6 or a lesson 12, I get 6 5-apples after that class from Sunny's parents. And so I think they don't know that because I felt like when I told her that and then she replied, she said, I didn't know I could do that. And it's easier for them to maybe go in at one time when they're thinking about it and leave all those apples at once than to try to do it after each class. So that's another thing you could tell, especially your regulars, the ones that are going to be taking multiple classes. Like you can wait until this class and leave 6 reviews and they'll kind of be like, oh, okay.
Victoria said, I'm a new teacher. On week 3, I've taught 11 classes. How in the world do you get parents to leave your first 5-apple? First of all, 11 classes in your first 3 weeks. That is awesome. Great work, Victoria. Good. How in the world do you get parents to leave feedback? That's for the panel. Kasie?
If you use ManyCam, I know that's not for everybody, but if you do, then you can do this like towards the end of class, just like when you're saying goodbye. And then, I don't know, it's just like a good visual for them. And then maybe the parents are sitting there because sometimes they are, or they might be on their iPad or something.
Kasie, you're a little quiet.
I'm all quiet.
Everyone's going like this. We're all using our,
I know. It's so
I
weird.
heard you. It was just quiet. We got you now.
Okay, I turned it up. It's so weird. It's on my, like, there's a volume on my mic or on my earphones. It's crazy.
So you suggest ManyCam you put up there in little 5-apples. I think I'm gonna put a sign like just apples, maybe subliminally.
Yeah, I see Melissa has it. Yeah. But
Cindy has it.
Cindy.
You get 5 stars, I get 5 apples.
Yeah. It helps.
Good idea. I think I'm looking into ManyCam, but I know that's for another discussion. Cindy Palmer, what do you do? What do you think about parent feedback?
I have no problem asking, especially when I first started. I know there are people who say, don't ask, that's rude, but sometimes they don't know. You have to let them know that this is what is kind of expected to help you. So there are politer ways to, and more subtle ways to ask for apples and all that. But I VIPKid values 5-apple teachers, and I am trying to be a 5-apple teacher. So your feedback is much appreciated, something to that effect. So, and that's usually what I would do, but I have no qualms asking for it. And, but always personalized. I think that's really, as everyone's mentioned back, because that will get them to want to respond to what you've written. So
right. And I definitely did when I was new. I would say, hey, I'm new. I wouldn't say hey, but you know what I mean? I'm new and VIPKid needs to know how I'm doing in so many words. So great. Let's see if we have any questions about parent feedback. Isn't there a cutoff for feedback to count towards your stats?
Yes.
yes.
It's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So the number to calculate is within 2 weeks, 14 days. So they still can give you the 5 apple like from a past class, but it won't help to get your apple percentage up. Also, to get your percentage up, if you get a lower apple, like you go down to like a 4.95 or dread a 1.20 or something terrible.
Oh no.
If that happens, it takes 100 5 apples to get you to change over back up in a percentage rank. So
Mhm.
it's a long time that you could be stuck at a lower apple percentage. So I think be very strategic too in the ones that you ask for feedback when you are new and you're just learning.
Yeah.
So as a veteran, I know that my classes are good quality classes. I've refined my game. I've taught over 3,500 classes. Like I just roll with it. Besides having IT issues, for bad computers, like in general, my classes, I know I can safely ask. Even my voice VIPKid classes, my
Mhm.
supplementals, I'm pretty confident in knowing that my classes are solid. But when I was a new teacher, I was not a solid teacher.
Mhm.
So I got my only 2 4 apples from Voice of VIPKid because I asked for feedback from Voice of VIPKid. And the kid didn't like to sing. So yes, they gave the teacher a 4 apple because the kid doesn't like to sing. So
Yeah.
it wasn't a good class. So it was a 4 apple class in the parent's mind. So in hindsight, I would not have asked for an apple feedback at the end of that voice class because it got me those 4 apples. So just
Mhm.
know that it's like a dance. It's a fine balance to find what works.
Yeah.
Once you are like steady enough in your classes, you've got your confidence, like then you're just really ready to build that, to grab that 5 apple and then really build your business. The
Mhm.
more 5 apples you get, the better bookings you get and the more business that you get sent your way. So it's all about, it's like a little rolling ball. It rolls really slow at first and then it will go faster and faster and faster and faster.
Good.
And
Mary.
I'd like to piggyback on that. I think that, you know, realistically, we need our 5 apples. It would be nice to think they could give us constructive feedback, but you don't want to ask for that
Right.
because you want to get 5 apples, right? Let's face it, we want the 5
Yeah.
apples.
We
So
need.
I do not ask for, please tell me the things I can improve. You know, I ask, please tell me what they liked about the class. So they're going to focus on the positive. You're not asking for the negative. You're not asking for whatever they want to say. Say, ask for what are the things they enjoyed? What are the things that you would like to see more of? And that way you're asking for the positive.
Mary, aren't you a psychologist or you did therapy before, right?
Yeah, I'm a
You can
counselor
hear
by
it.
training.
Like we're gonna get them thinking positive, people.
Exactly.
I love it. So let's see. I think that's all we have for that. Good tip. Tell them they can leave more than one. Yeah. Yeah, I think we answered. I wonder why the parents would sign their child up for a singing class if the child does not like to sing. How is that the teacher's fault?
I don't know.
Right? Oh.
Although if I taught the singing class, they maybe should give me a 1. No.
That's the way I feel.
I love to sing. Voice of VIPKid are like my favorite classes. If I could teach them all the time, la la la, let's chop the food, let's have the furniture. Oh, it's so fun. I love Voice of VIPKid. And I don't know how a kid couldn't like my classes because they are bang up fun. But you know, some kids just don't like to sing.
Yeah,
That's
I'm
true.
terrified. Like I said, I had that one where they just sat there like, and so I was like singing to the parents, and it just like, Marianne.
Amanda, no, I was gonna say I love to sing too, and I dropped the Voice of VIPKid certification because I would always get these 8-year-old boys. I'm like, no, these classes are made for like 4 and 5-year-olds. And then the slide, there's only 19 slides, and they're done at like 12 minutes. And I'm like, okay, let's spell. Yeah, what can we do to make it fun? Yeah. But
Yeah.
I was gonna say for the feedback, sorry.
No,
So
go.
I've been with the company, signed my 6th contract. In the beginning, I didn't get many apples, and then I realized how important they were. So I'm trying to play catch up. I've taught 6,600 classes I'm at, and I've got 24, 23 5 apples. So 2,423. So, but now that I have very established regulars, I have been asking more. I never asked before.
Mhm.
And then I'm hearing other people on, I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
and it's helping. Nobody's ever said rude, but instead of asking, like Mary was saying about, somebody mentioned like where you could ask them to leave positive tags as opposed to feedback. So you get a lot of those, use scaffolding and extension and whatever. And that way they don't have to, maybe they don't really, because as parents, they're busy. Maybe they don't feel like typing stuff.
Yeah.
But even just getting the tags is another way to ask. In addition to and I always put 5 apples. Please leave me 5 apples. I never just put
Apple
feedback
yeah.
because. So anyway.
And I think it's important for them to know they don't have to leave any words at all. Like they don't even have to leave the tags. They can just leave stars. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Yes. I think 90% of mine are just apples. I don't think I have a lot of comments. I think they're just apples.
I have a chapter from each parent. They just write so much to me. It's really fun.
Yeah. I need to work on this. All right. Tips and tricks.
Various goals.
Was that goals? Yeah.
Various goals. She's like, I have a book from all of my parents.
Right?
I would say 90% of mine are just the apples, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah. Let's see. I think that's all we have for that. So what's next? What do you guys want to talk about for feedback? You wanna touch on teacher to teacher feedback? Who said Mary Ann?
Ooh.
Okay.
I don't leave teacher to teacher feedback, and maybe
That's what I was just gonna ask. Who doesn't leave any teacher to teacher feedback?
I mean, I'm one of those old school 3 years ago. I leave my initials and my reward. So sorry if that's not helpful for you.
Yeah, I leave my reward unless I share the student. So if it's my normal regulars that usually stay with me, I just write the reward. But every 3 or 4, if I'm sharing the student, I will write something to the teacher because I think it shows the next 3. So I figure by 3 or 4, maybe that teacher's ready to know something, but I generally just leave my reward.
I generally use it as notes to myself. I don't necessarily leave notes for the other teacher.
Amanda?
When I first started, I taught a lot of level 1. So that's the student's very first time with VIPKid. I was a level 1 only for my first 100 days. So when I was that, I always tried to help. I did a lot of trials too. If I knew the pronunciation of the student's name, I left the pronunciation phonetically of the student's name. If I saw a shirt with Hello Kitty, I would leave a little note like Hello Kitty is a great reward. If you've got it, use it.
Yeah.
So I use it more for tips to help other teachers and support colleagues. I have before left that teacher to teacher feedback that is about the wild cuckoo kid that when I told the story one time about spinning in a chair with the iPad. So I wrote that in that teacher to teacher feedback. I have done that before. It just depends on the situation. But now that I see so many regulars, I mostly teach exclusive just me students. I actually have brain notes. I don't know how I do it, but I got them. So I don't need to really keep track of what my kids are learning because I've taught them so many times. But for the kids I share other teachers with, I will leave special notes like this student is in level 5. These are very high level questions. I simplify these questions to help him to understand. Or I write, ask him, does he understand the vocabulary word? Because he can read great, but he has no idea what the word today or tomorrow means. So ask about words. So I will leave little tips. I don't know if it's helpful for other people, but if I see a little tip that's helpful to me, I appreciate that if others teachers do it. That's the whole idea of why we have teacher to teacher. So if there really is something, I think taking it personally, if there was something negative written about a kid or something positive written, like how teachers get offensive and big bristly about it is a waste of time. Just use it as a help. It's to help you. use it or don't use it.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Like, don't be
Mhm.
fighting and arguing about teacher to teacher feedback. I
Agree.
hate posts like that
Yeah.
and conversations about that. Use it or don't. Do your
Right.
best with the kid in that moment. If the tip was helpful, go for it. If it's bunk, don't do it. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
class.
Yeah.
Right.
No, I
So
agree.
let us know how you feel about it in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you. And also, what is a tip that helps you in teacher to teacher feedback? I will tell you, one thing that helps me is I like to talk. So if I see a tip that says this student needs extra time to read, it helps me with my pacing, because sometimes I'm just like, I love the rapport and finding out more about the child. But if I know that we're going to have a lot of time on reading, I might get into it a little bit more before I start my big rapport stuff. I always do rapport because that's my favorite part. So,
Yeah.
but what kind of tips help you?
Me, I would say that just leaving, if they go by a different name than what's the name,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
that is always super helpful.
Mhm.
I always look for that. And I usually only leave teacher to teacher feedback when it's a brand new to me, never seen before, just in case if they don't come back. If there was something that was needing to be pointed out or mentioned, like pacing or comprehension, like they could read comprehensive questions were just not there.
Mhm.
So those kinds of
Yeah.
things I will, because I don't know if they're going to come back to me or not. So I want to at least, you know, let other people know encountering. But my regulars, yeah, I don't usually fill anything out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do the same. If like I have a student that's really struggling with comprehension, or if they're a slower reader, if they have like a lot of trouble with pronunciation or enunciation when they're reading, then I will definitely let them know in the feedback. And then I'll just say I do split reading, or sometimes the student might parrot you a bit. And I know a lot of teachers hate that, that teachers might write that in feedback, but if it's true, it's true. And so, I mean, I'm just honest, and I'll write it and I'll say, I'm not trying to be mean at all. I'm just saying what I experienced with the student and what can help you out. And I know that doing it that way is very helpful, because at least you're telling them what they can maybe expect with the student, rather than just not saying anything, or just, or just whatever.
I have one that's older and he's a handful. I'll just be honest. And every I don't know, 3 or 4 last time I wrote busy, but you can bring him back. I use teacher words, but you can bring him back. And I told them, like, one trick is use Dino. He's not too fond of Dino, but if you pull out Dino, then he will listen, because he doesn't want you talking to Dino. He wants your attention. So I just wrote that in feedback, like, if you're having trouble bringing him back, pull out Dino and start talking to Dino. He'll make a mad face at you, but he'll listen. And then I just set Dino back down and he's good to go. So I don't know. For him, if I figure that he'll get more out of it if the teacher can get him to listen, but he'll sit there and not listen if you let him. You know what I mean? So I figured if they had a trick up their sleeve ready to go, maybe it'll help. I don't know. Anybody else? Any tricks or tips in the teacher to teacher feedback? No?
I think one of the things that's important for especially new teachers to learn is that teacher to teacher feedback is not mandatory. It is something that we can do or not do, and we can use it at our discretion how we want to. So I think sometimes people, when they first start, think, I have to take this seriously, and why aren't people writing things more in detail? So just know, use it the way you want to. Let each teacher do it their own way, and don't stress over it. Take it seriously or not. And also know that your experience with your student is unique. So even if someone reports it's a student that may be difficult, for you, they may be an angel. And so don't go in with the preconceived notion of how they will be. Take it as a little side note, if you will, but experience the student for yourself and get to know them, because you'll have a totally different relationship with them.
Right. Let's see. I saw something up here. William, there you are. When their birthday is, pets, brothers, and sisters, or interests. The funny thing about birthdays is usually, if you look at their birthday, they're always one day off. Have you noticed that? There's so many wrong, but they're like one day off. So I wonder if that's like, it's in our time rather than on their real day. So if it says February 28th, they will tell you February 29th. Well, leap year, I guess, isn't exactly that. You know what I mean, though.
Also,
Amanda.
the LPs enter, or the sales team enters their birthdays, and they're often wrong.
Yeah.
So just a heads up, like if you see a birthday and you don't know the kid and had them as a regular, always ask
Don't
them
sing.
before you bring out the cake and like celebrate, because it might not be their birthday. That's happened to me like 4 times. So learn from me. Don't be the birthday party girl for every class. Woohoo! It's your
that's
birthday. It's not my birthday, teacher. Oh my gosh.
Right.
You
My
say that,
birthday.
like, most of them, I've had a lot of them, their birthdays on New Year's Day. And I remember like first starting my first month, I'd be like, oh my gosh, all these children were born on New Year's, you know.
Totally.
Like, no, that's just something that's put in there. So if you see January 1, probably not their birthday.
Right.
Yeah.
I do have one, Anthony, but he's been around for a long time with me, my buddy.
Also
Yeah.
in China, the children celebrate a different day for their birthday often, like depending culturally. So like they may celebrate the day that they have like after I think it's 1 month of birth, they have like a special party with like a red egg and they celebrate. And that may be the day they celebrate their birthday, which is really 1 month later than their real birthday when they were born out of their mama. So it's very different, their culture on birthday celebration days.
Yeah.
So when I have regulars, I keep a little calendar so I know, and then I know that they're coming up. And then I always have a birthday cake ready right in my drawer, right above, right here. There's my birthday cake drawer. And so boop, there's the cake, and there we go. So just always
so
have
funny.
it ready if they tell you it's their birthday to be prepared. My brain goes mush and I forget birthdays sometimes. So it's okay. Like that's something else the teacher to teacher feedback is good for. Looking at their birthday, looking at the notes from the teacher, and then I also look at how many classes they've had. So have they had 100 classes or 10 classes? That's a big difference in their experience you'll see in the classroom. So that little teacher page where we get information, I look at teacher to teacher feedback, I look at birthday, I look at how many classes, all of that's just helpful as a little tool in my toolbox.
Right. I've showed you guys this before, but a little Reese's peanut butter cup and a little candle in it because it stands up.
You know, I have a little Debbie's cake, and it's been out of the wrapper for 7 months, and it still looks really, really good. So just saying, don't eat little Debbie's cakes necessarily, but you can use them in the classroom forever.
You know what preservatives must be in that?
I'm surprised the ants don't, like, if it were here, ants would be all over that.
Oh yeah. Let's see. I love phonics. I teach a lot of supplementary classes. This week I've been teaching a lot of level reading classes. Let's see. VIPKid has their birthday in the system. Let's see. They're not always right. Yep. Sorry guys, I'm still going down the chat. Anything else for teacher to teacher feedback that we can just take it with a grain of salt? I think, you know, it's not mandatory. You can use it for yourself. You can use it for other teachers. It's really up to you. And I would just like to put out there, let's not stress on Facebook over teacher to teacher feedback.
Yes.
Like Amanda said, if you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it.
That conversation's been had.
Right?
Yeah.
Done. Next.
Nailed it.
So feedback for UAs. Just stop. Feedback for UAs for those that are new. Does anyone want to? It's pretty much bubbles. Anybody want to explain feedback real quick while I check the chat to see where we are because I'm behind?
Oh, I was going to say, I think feedback for UAs is so much easier than when I first started teaching.
Oh,
That button where you can, while you're in the class, hit the button to give feedback live is amazing. Because before we used to not have the answer key or have any access to those little bubbles without actually opening a separate window. It was a pain in the butt. So now it's all on one screen. And so I actually click the bubbles as I'm in the class, as the student is finishing the question, and that is golden because I don't always remember every blow by blow of the mistakes they make or what they understood, but I can do it while it's on there. And then at the end, I just write a general summary about what kind of what we learned in that unit. The student did a great job with this. The student did not such a good job with this. I don't write a whole detail of what happened on each part of the UA. I'll pick one thing that they need to work on. That is usually what we're working on in every single class. That their vocabulary, they need to really practice those words or develop pronunciation or their comprehension, whatever it is, that's what I'll note. And then in that UA, I'm saying thank you for your 5 apple feedback. I enjoy hearing from parents, like, and signing teacher Amanda. So it's a pretty easy kind of process because it's all in that screen. It's one of the easier. I like doing UA feedback. I'm like, boop, 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 and then done.
Didn't someone on here tell us that you used to have to like scan it back in and everything? Like when they first started, I think it was they had to like.
Yeah, I think that was
you
Shannon.
did. You had to you had to download a document, you had to fill it out, you had to save it as a PDF, and you had to email it back in. And it was the score and like what you wrote. Yeah, I mean, it used to be like a long process, and then it was on the computer. Okay, you couldn't do it on the phone or the iPad, and then like a little bit after that, they made it like where you could be filling in the bubbles as you were giving it. So I mean, there's some improvements. Like those of us that used to have to wait, 4 hours to download and email back in a PDF, we're like, oh, woo-hoo, bubbles.
I fill out those bubbles because I'll be honest, I can't remember. I can't remember how they do if I don't do it right away. So Jason said, I had one tell me that their parents used the wrong date so that he could continue with VIPKid longer. I think he was 17, but his profile said he was 13.
Oh, liar.
Interesting perspective. Yeah,
I agree. Danny, I think it was Danny, mentioned we should do a collab on cultural things. And Kelly said she'd want to, I think it was Kelly, she'd like to have people from China. Danny, I do have a couple people that have lived there that we could probably talk to. Let's see. Amy Lou, thanks for coming. I thought you were going to get a teacher no-show. Just kidding. That's Danny's line. Let's see. Oh, do you think parents read the feedback? I think we
some parents read the feedback and some parents don't. Like, I mean, I've taught Allo since my 3rd month of teaching, and I know that they don't read feedbacks. I've been late before. I'm one of those procrastinators, and it'll be like, you have 5 minutes. So I will just write, Allo did great today. Thanks. See you soon. And I never hear anything. I write 5 paragraphs because she's struggling. I never hear nothing. Allo's parents don't read it, but Sunny's parents do. So I think it just depends on the parent.
Yeah, I know I'm jumping back there, but you brought up a question for me. Do you guys write down what you went over in class or just how they did and what they're struggling with?
So I have a kind of a process. I thank them for coming to class. I comment on a character, depending on how frequent I see them, but I'll say something about they were really focused today or they really participated actively. Then I'll say something like make a sandwich, say something that's a skill they did well, something they need to improve, something that they did well, and then thank them and invite them to offer feedback. So it's just kind of that, but I don't reiterate the whole lesson. They know basically if they look in the student workbook. I think that I do use or have used Feedback Panda, but only as a record keeper for my students so I can look back. It's great to fill it in. And sometimes Feedback Panda will help me remember what was in the class, but I just write my own feedback. I don't copy a template or do anything like that, but using that sandwich approach is really good.
Yeah,
for me.
in brick and mortar classes too. Marianne?
Yeah, I've done feedback different ways over the years. And I try to do like what's most efficient for myself and the parent, because I think like a parent. I don't want to read this much, right? And and parents don't want you to reiterate the class, especially if they're sitting there. They saw it. Right. So I think that's what you see a lot of is people like, Johnny did good today and he did this and this and this and this and this. And it's just too detailed. So what I do a lot of times, and it depends on if it's a regular or a new student. If it's a regular, I will put a little bit more information because they're a regular, right? And so what I do kind of like an outline. I first of all, thank you for coming to class, kind of thing. And if there was something they showed me, thanks for sharing your stuffed animal with me. I teach twin girls separately, and they read a little book to me last week, and it was so sweet, so I comment on that, or I liked your hair, something personal. Anyway, so I'll do like, here are some concepts to focus on or to review or whatever. And I'll put number 1. I might put the vocab words. 2, I'm really stressing verbs with my level 2 students.
Okay.
Most of my students now, my regulars are level 2s. And I'm really focusing on verbs. And I will put the verb, I will put how it's conjugated, and sentence examples. So for the regulars, I'll put a little bit more, but I have like a template, so I kind of copy and paste, and then I just have to fill in the verb, for example. And then I might, there might be one more thing, something that they need to work on. But I'll put, if I have 7 things, they'll be like, they need to practice the TH sound. And I try to show them in class, because that's a big thing. And I have my mirror and I show them, and then I will put that in feedback, practice looking in the mirror. But I try to model it, because I think if you just write it, they're going to be like, what is she talking about?
Right.
But if you model it in class and then reiterate it in feedback, hopefully it will recall, oh yeah, she talked about that. But so it just, for me, it just depends. If it's a regular student, I'll put in a little bit more effort, not to sound, but time is money, right? We're not getting paid. I have seen people spend a half hour doing feedback for one class. And I'm like, you're working for free at that point. So you have to think of, and I teach like 16 classes a day. So I don't have time to do,
right,
detailed feedback. So anyway, I just like the outline approach, because it's like 1, 2, I think it's easier to read. And I don't know, I do space. I don't know if it comes out spaced, when the parents see it. It doesn't. Okay. Too bad. 'Cause it makes it easier.
It doesn't.
It makes it easier to read.
yeah.
But now, and I always thank them. And so anyway.
And that's part of that personalization I was talking about too. If you give the parents something tangible they can do to help their students, they appreciate that. So like Sunny was having a really hard time with past tense. And so I showed her in class note cards, right? Find, found, right? Blow, blew. Like I showed her all of these and how I wrote the past tense on the note card. And then I put it in feedback for the parents. You can help her by making note cards. On one side, it can say, and I made this whole list. And so then it was like homework, but it was something specific that they could do, because a lot of times you're like, hey, please practice past tense verbs. But these parents might not know English very well. So they don't know exactly how they can help their students. So I will oftentimes give sort of specific homework for them to do in an area where that student struggles.
Without calling it homework now.
Yeah, don't call it homework.
Enrichment.
Yeah.
Mary?
And
the other thing, when you were talking about practicing in the mirror, like giving the parents a why for doing something. So telling them that when the student places their tongue in the right position, or the mouth makes the right shape with their mouth, they will make the correct sound. So then they will start saying, oh, I really need to pay attention and watch how the teacher is forming this sound. I think when you give them the why, they understand better and then appreciate learning from you the things that the kid needs to practice.
I think good feedback is a way you win over parents to rebook you again too. So anytime I write a feedback when I have a new student, I will really write something personal about the kid that they told me. The whole idea is to come to class and speak English, have a conversation. So if the kid told me that their favorite color is purple, I will write, Lo Yimbong told me today that his favorite color is purple. He told me that he does not like blue. My favorite color is purple. All my kids know my favorite color is purple. Oh my goodness. And that I like pasta. I don't teach them noodles. We learn pasta, the Italian word. But what you're doing is you're getting that really glimpse of time and telling the parent what's most important. What's most important is your child felt comfortable with me to tell me their favorite color. So if I'm having a conversation with them, might as well book me again because we're going to have a conversation again. Also, I love what Melissa said about giving tips for practice at home. In the calendar section, level 2, unit 1, I write in my feedback, get a calendar from your house and say the months of the year and turn the calendar. When I was teaching level 1 and we were practicing numbers, I wrote, go out to the street and use some chalk to write on the street, jump on the words and write the English words. Like whatever as a teacher in my brick and mortar class, I would tell parents to practice. I put that in feedback, and that's what makes parents come back. They're looking for that extra special comfort their kid has with you, and also with that special touch that you're adding to their classroom. I learned this from JoJo. Teacher JoJo is a workshop teacher, and I cannot tell you how new teachers need to go. They need to take the workshop on feedback. It talks about all of these, but from a really great perspective. And so I learned to relax a bit and to make my feedback really applicable to parents. And so when I write what the parent wants to hear, it's like a little bell that goes off in their head. Ding! There's the teacher. I'm going to book again. So, but that teacher that writes the brackets full of the blow by blow of the lesson, that's going to be every other person. They're using Feedback Panda. It's
And
not
they
really
know that. The
and they know
parents know that. I mean, I have parents on WeChat. I went to China. They know that they can tell right away this is a template. And to them, I mean, because it is, but they feel like it's very impersonal. They just feel like you didn't really pay attention to their kid because you didn't put that personalization. You didn't put the why. You didn't put specific things into the feedback. You just copied and pasted, and they know that. So that's why I like Feedback Panda, because it saves it and I can click and I can see that this is my 158th class with Edison or whatever. But I do not recommend just copying and pasting what you see there. If you want to use one as a base, fine, but delete a lot of that and only leave like two things they did well and something they struggled with.
Also, those sentences in Feedback Panda are written like English papers for college classes. Parent feedback should be simple sentences.
Yes.
It should say, in class, we learned about verbs. A verb in English is a blah, 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 blah. And it should not be complex sentences. They don't translate well. So remember that you're going to be sending feedback that parents can't even understand when translated, when it's all crazy confusing. So here's what I do. I use the phone app. I go into where it says do feedback for kids. I hit edit. And then right here in this box, I can type and talk on my phone. So I say, Joe did a great job in class today. He worked really hard to speak in complete sentences. It would be great if you could practice blah, blah, blah at home. And then I send it through the phone. I don't sit and type anymore. It's so much faster to do it on the app, and you can voice speak. So that is the biggest time saver. It is. I can do a feedback in 3 minutes, less than that, depending on how fast I talk. I can boop, 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 and done. Oh, there's another feedback done.
They never understand me.
You know, talk slow
I'm like,
and then watch it
know.
comes. It works for me. And so I have to edit a few times and that's it. And then in a few minutes, I'm done. I'm a fast typer, but my voice is way faster. So I can really buzz through my feedbacks really quick. So I use the voice.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. It picks up my Southern twang. I mean, you know, too much. I have to go back and fix too much, but I use the phone a lot. Maybe I'll try that, like talk like a robot or something, see if it'll work, because I take too long.
I guess I have a very clear voice because I don't have problems. It just goes, we did a great job in class today. No problems. So it's my go-to all the time. Saves so much time.
Nice. So teacher Kelly Tag said she's got an interview tomorrow on her channel. So I want to shout that out. She is interviewing Amy Lou. Let's see. Kenny.
Yay,
Yay.
I was going to say too. Oh,
go ahead, please do.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go for it.
I was going to say, I don't know. I mean, I hear a lot of people that during class, they'll write down, whatever. When they installed that new, not installed, but put in that new chat where you can type in there, I kind of I am working on my feedback during class. And I've never gotten in trouble. Of course my eyes are, I'm all over the place though. So I'm typing, and when they're reading, sometimes I'm typing my feedback and I start putting stuff in there. I have a little, a copy and paste that I insert. But I try and do as much of my feedback during class as possible. And I use that chat box and then I save it.
Mhm.
And only a couple times when the firemen decided to come in and, dang it, I didn't get to save it in time, but, and you lose everything. But I try and do what I can in there. I used to write down on paper the name of the student. Everybody has their own system. You have to do what works best for you. But I'm trying to save as much time as possible. I use the chat box, and I used to write it down on paper. I don't do that anymore. I write in the chat box. I can save it, and I have notes for myself. If I really need to focus, I put P for practice. I have my own, coding or whatever, and I know when I go back what I've said.
So, Marianne, are you talking about the chat box to the fireman and the student, or are you talking about the feedback box?
Oh, sorry, the feedback box. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to use the chat box because I used to leave, where you can leave perfect, very good. And I forget about that because I have the feedback box open. Thank you, Melissa. Sorry, I said the wrong thing. I used to use the box until they incorporated that feedback box. And when I did the chat box, I would copy and paste and anything to make it simple. I don't know. I just think we just need to, I wish they would find a way to make feedback even more simple for us. I think that is a big stressor for a lot of teachers, especially new teachers, because I was the same way.
Yeah.
And it would be nice if they could streamline it even more. But I think you just have to find what works best for you. And like Amanda said, simple words, because not everything translates well. And yeah, but the goal is to not spend a half hour doing one feedback.
Yeah.
Right. Candy said she hates unit assessments. She feels like she can never be honest because she fears retaliation from parents in case of low scores. I know there's difference of opinions on scoring UAs here in this group, so we might need to leave that for another day. But I will say that's a tough one for me and for the older ones, I think, because the older ones, you want to tell them what they missed or whatever. But yeah, I agree, Candy, but I know we have difference of opinions, and that will be a whole nother hour if we go down that road right now, because I think, Amanda, you're a 100% person, right?
Almost.
Yeah, almost. So that's why I'm saying we might not want to travel down this rabbit hole. It's up to you guys. What do you think?
I'll tell why I'm 100%. So I teach regulars. I know what they're struggling with. When they come to the UA, I'm still doing a little bit of teaching and assisting, especially those lower level kids. But truly, if they really bombed, like today, I had a student who could not figure out perimeter. He is a level 5 and he really struggles with comprehension. So I am not giving him full points for the perimeter. I'll give him the middle bubble because I assisted and helped. I had to assist and help a lot with that. But in general, I would have, if he was able to get a little bit of the concept and then show it to me with some help, I'm still doing that in the classroom. The UAs are really important. Parents get little certificates. This is a supplemental class. I'm not giving them a classroom grade. This is extra classes in English. So I want to encourage them. So if I can support and assist and do my best, my kids are rock stars because all the lessons I've taught with them, we're ready, we're on to the UA, and they just got it. But really, if they bomb, I do lower. But I really am generous, on more generous side. That's just my nature. I'm a helpful teacher. I'm still going to teach them some concepts in the UA if they need it. It's not just you missed it, you're done. knock you off.
Yeah.
So even the projects, I do all the projects in class with my students.
Mhm.
I go to the blank slide, we draw a quick picture, they say a few sentences, bobbing, you got it, full points. So I'm just that way. That's just my personal take. Everyone can grade how they
Right.
prefer. My kids are rock stars, and I'm working hard with them, and so we get great scores. Yay!
You know, I'm a rule follower. So if the rubric says, you know, independently, and I had to help, I'm like, but I had to help them. Like, so I mark that. Or if it says with teacher help, okay, I help them, you know. So whatever the rubric tells me is what I do.
What I do
My advice
too.
would be just to do it the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
And the parents are going to find the teacher they want. If they want the
Yeah.
teacher that's going to be generous and give them 100% so they get the certificates, they're going to find that teacher.
True.
There are some parents who want the very serious teacher, the one who's going to grade it and might give them 50% on the UA if they don't know, because those parents want to know. They're paying a
Right.
lot of money for this class and they want to know how their students are doing.
Mhm.
And it's kind of the same thing with feedback, right? If you're a really serious teacher, that's going to come through in your feedback. And, you know, if you're not, if that, you know,
Yeah.
not that you're not a good teacher, but your feedback is just not going to be as structured towards the curriculum. So I feel like, you know, you do you, boo. Those parents are going to find you.
But I agree with Candy. I am so worried for negative parent feedback that it definitely changes. I mean,
Yeah.
I will go back and move a couple higher just so that they only have
Yeah.
one off or something
Yeah.
like that because of
Kasie,
it.
I used to be that way when I first started, because, you know, it's like you didn't want to do anything to rock the boat.
Yeah.
But now I think you can offer constructive criticism, and especially the parents. I teach mostly lower levels, so the parents are usually in the classroom. And so they see that their child's struggling. And I think they appreciate it when you are honest. But yeah, it is the chance you take. Like, I will call students out on their, you know, behavior. I'll just put that in there, you know, such and such struggled sitting or whatever. And I've gotten feedback where the parents say, sorry, my child was not behaving well. We will work on that. And I'm like, wow, because you never know. Once you hit submit, I mean, you have
Right.
30 minutes to edit. But I mean, after that, you take a chance. And I think they appreciate it. That's what I'm seeing more and more.
Yeah.
They appreciate the why, right? Tell
Yes.
them why did they make a 70 on the UA. Tell them why. They struggled with the past tense. They struggled with perimeter. They struggled with, and I think the more you tell them the why in the feedback, the more accepting they're going to be of that score, even if it's a little lower.
That's
Yes.
absolutely right.
Love it. Love
Yeah,
I
it.
back
think the
it up.
helicopter parents, I'm a little bit more, whatever. Just, I'm not as critical because their child's a winner no matter what, you know, kind of thing. And then,
Yeah.
or if they are telling them the answer, I'm like, well, I mean, it's your dime. If you're not helping them by giving them the answer, because
Mhm.
I can hear the parent a little bit during the UA, and of course the child's always looking.
Yeah.
What is it, Mom? But so it's kind of a give and take. But I have learned to be more honest, and I've gotten positive feedback because of it. So
Yeah. So Kasie, I saw your note in the chat. So you're kind of the same.
Same as you, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to get them mad, but I have to be honest with them. And
Yeah.
it's hard for me. It's hard for me not to be like, I mean, I love the students and they're awesome and I know they're working hard, but I have to say, you know, they were having a hard time with this today and we worked on it together and, you know, and then I'll maybe give them the halfway score or something, but sometimes I will occasionally I might give them the 0 if they really, really, really did not understand it. And I might go that way. But as you do, I might raise up a couple of them if you know, they had a
And what a middle ground would be, like, maybe you score them that 100%, but in the written feedback, you're more truthful. They struggled with XYZ. You know, if you're worried about the score and retaliation, that's what I did as a newer That was kind of my middle ground. They got the good score, but in the feedback, I was very honest. I had to help them with this sentence, or I had to help them with the words. And so that way you kind of get it, all the ground covered. Just as suggestions, what I used to do.
Yeah.
Also, we have 12 lessons. If you think over 12 lessons, that 2 out of those 12 are UAs. So really, they're more like a teaching UA in my mind. That's what I think. Because I'm not really just, this is the assessment, like I'm giving you a test. This is like a bubble sheet answer it, and we move on. I'm really still teaching through the UA. So I always keep that in mind. Also, something else about our kids and their experience in their regular schools. In their regular schools, they are striving for the highest position and scores in all of their classes. In their classes, they actually put the grades outside the door for all the parents to see, with all the kids ranked, so that they can see how they did on their assessments. So they are feeling pressure all the time to be the top. So why don't you come to Teacher Amanda's class? Because you're going to be the top English student. I really feel like that's just a way that I give them a little sunshine, because they need some sunshine. It is tough to be the top of your class in every single subject. So come to Teacher Amanda. We're going to rock it. We'll have some sunshine and top scores. That's just my class, how I do things.
But as you said, they put those outside the door for the parents to see, because the parents want to see it. So that's kind of, I mean, you know what I mean? It's kind of one and the same. For the student, we want to be the, you know, yay. And I am like that. I mean, that's part of the kindergarten teacher in me. But the other side, even in my not real classroom, my brick and mortar classroom, it's like, you know, that line of what do the parents want, you know?
Amanda, do you ever post one of your classes on your YouTube channel?
Like a class clip?
Yeah.
I just started doing that because we have to fuzz out like all the content from VIPKid, like the slides.
Right.
So now I'm getting better with video editing. So, you know, I should put a whole class and cover the kids' picture and cover the slides.
Or you can just put
Put you.
Or just me.
Right on the side, like whatever, your phone or however you. I'm just curious. I always like to see how people teach.
Yeah,
and I want to see a voice one too.
Oh, they're so fun. I have the funnest voice one. I did a couple weeks ago, and we like had clothes, and I had clothes all over my face, and the kid was laughing. Oh gosh, I have such a fun time in voice. Yes, you know, I'll have to make a YouTube and put in a sample class clip of me. It's really fun. So yeah, my classroom experience is fun. I'm the sunshine teacher. So you come to my class because you're going to enjoy your English class. We're going to get all rainbows and stars. Like, it's great. So that's just my personal style, and that's how it goes into my UA grading too.
So Laura said, I think Chinese parents are different than American parents. They want all the details, I've found. I write long feedback using templates and get 5 apples for detailed feedback often.
I have something I'd like to share. I don't know how many of you use this book, Loud and Clear by Ed Nace.
I haven't, and I haven't finished it.
It is amazing. It totally changed how I do feedback and the effectiveness of my feedback. He really talks about personalizing it, making that sandwich, but really giving some really concrete examples of how to word things, you know, for the level 1 student who's not saying anything at all. Praise the fact that they sat still for the 25 minutes, you know, praise the fact that, you know, that they were present, but also what are they learning in that moment? The level 1 student is learning the sounds that are native to the English language that will eventually inform them how to correctly speak that language. So finding out the good things you can say, even when it looks like there's nothing to say, they didn't say anything. You know, so this book I cannot recommend highly enough. Go for it and learn a lot about effective feedback. I think that I have my 65% because I've studied that book. Yeah.
I think I need the hard copy. I have it on my phone and I just never put it in priority. It's never right there in front of me. So I think
print it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna need to do that. Stephanie said yes, she wants to see Amanda teach. Bye, Danny. Thanks for coming. Really quick, the last thing I had on there that I wanted to answer is what to do if you get negative feedback. First, I learned Well, don't stress. I did have tears. Even though they were invalidated and didn't say anything wrong about me. But yeah, I had tears and then I was so grumpy. But yeah, what do you think? If you get negative feedback?
Well, so my first
Smiling.
ever feedback was 4 apples. My first ever feedback. So I went from 5.0 to 4.0, one feedback.
Oh.
And it was, they rebooked me. I taught her for a year. And it said, very good. 4 apples, very good. I was like, what the, and it took me 105 apples that to get back to 5.0. And so what would happen is I would get almost there and then I'd get another 4 apples. And so I'd go back down. And so for my whole first year teaching with VIPKid, I was like, 4.97, 4.98, and I still got classes. So that's my first little tip here. You're not ruined. You're still going to get classes. A lot of times when the parents search, 4.5 and up, teachers are kind of in that same, algorithm, depending on, what they're searching for, what tags they choose to search for in their app. And then, the other thing is it's okay. They live through it, right? You are not your 5 apple rating, right? You are more than that.
Right.
And also I just think there's some growing pains there because now I rarely get them, but I've been doing this for more than 3 years. So I have a lot of regulars who are loyal and who are going to leave that 5 feedback. And at the beginning, I think you just have to realize, it's part of it and just try not to take it so personal, which I know is hard. And then also if it's anything system issue or tech wise or something that you can disprove, you can send in, at this timestamp I was giving a reward, or at this timestamp in the class I was engaged. Do that, because I feel like the company has gotten really lenient with the invalidations.
Yeah. And under 3, you can get them invalidated. So, but 4 and above, or 4, you cannot.
Well, you can send in a ticket. You can send in a ticket and ask them. But so just people I know, people on my Facebook page, those are more likely to get invalidated if it's a 4 apple and it says there were technical issues in this class. Then they're more likely to look at that because technical issues aren't supposed to affect your rating. Same thing for system issues. So I don't know if you can do it so much for like personality, like if they just didn't like your class, but for something like that where it's definitely, it's like in our contract, that's not supposed to affect our rating, I would send in a ticket, even if it's 4 apples.
Well, mine said VIPKid store is bad. Their clauses are bad. It had nothing. You didn't hear about that, Melissa?
No.
Oh, I'm going to put out a video. It had nothing it didn't say me. The tags, they had some negative tags on me, but the comment was all, don't sign up for VIPKid classes. The VIPKid store is bad. This clause in VIPKid is bad. It had nothing to do with me. And they sent in 3 of them, but 2 of them were 1 apples, and 1 they gave me a 5 apple with the same wording.
What?
Yes, yes. And it was all within 30 minutes of each other. So I'm like, oh no.
Oh, but they were invalidated, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they were. But you still have to look at them every day. I didn't know that.
I know.
So it still shows 2 unsatisfactory. And it shows what they say.
Yeah.
So you know what I mean? Like your percentage is still at 5. My percentage is still at 5, but or 5 apple rating, I guess is what you would say. But it still shows 2 negative, but it shows what they said. So I mean, if the parents read that, but the tags were kind of crummy. No energy, and I just laughed at that. Like, okay. So
crazy.
Anyway, we have one more question in the chat, and then we're going to call
I
it.
had one other thing I wanted to say about the 4 apple.
Oh yeah, please do.
My first 4 apple review that I got, I was, well, devastated like everyone. But back then they had a thing where you could have another teacher review your class and give you tips on how you could improve. You have to use points or tokens in order to do, I think it's like, I don't remember how many, but anyway. So I did that, and that was very helpful for me to let me know ways I could improve. And So I took that as a learning experience to improve my teaching. And so yeah, so even if it is just a 4 apple, take it as constructive criticism and see, well, maybe there is something I can do different. Maybe there is some way for me to improve, and turn it around that way and just be better from now on, kind of a thing. So
Yeah.
but those, if you tokens, getting someone to review those 4 apple review classes is very helpful, just in case.
I think they're not doing them anymore, I don't think.
Yeah,
because
we're not doing those.
I remember Lucy.
500 tokens for
Yeah.
A mentor session, but they're currently not offering those.
At all. Oh, it was great. I really appreciated it.
Mine was with Lucy West. That's how I met her.
Oh,
Uh-huh. Good. So Victoria Burkett wants to know who of us do this full-time and who is part-time? I was full-time, but I've been only part-time now.
Full-time.
oh yeah, I'm
Part-time.
full-time.
I go back and forth.
Right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much part-time. Just in the
Part-time.
mornings.
Part-time.
And
Amanda?
I'm part-time because I'm Pacific Coast time. I can't be a zombie and be a mommy and wife and teacher and all that. So if I lived on the East Coast, I would be full-time. I can do 12 classes in a block. I could do 10 in a row. I've done that before in our
Mhm.
time zone. But for now, I'm just Monday through Thursday. I do 6 classes in a row. So part-time.
Good.
Yeah, and I do 6 classes in a row, 5 days a week, and then I am moving into out school as well. So I'm going to develop my hours into the daytime rather than adding more early morning hours.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. And to those in the chat, I cannot believe we have 17 in the chat. Please don't forget to give us a thumbs up today, even though
Thank you.
I didn't earn my apples today being late and all. I can't believe you guys drove in my car with me and we talked. That was actually a whole lot of fun. Really, guys, thank you so much. I'm sorry I took up so much of your time today, but I appreciate all of you. And next Monday, I think next Monday is Memorial Day, right? I think the plan is we're going to make this a premiere so that we can film ahead of time, but I'll still post it at this time.
You should do the best of Kasie.
Best of Kasie? What's that? Like the many faces I make?
When there's a holiday on a show and they're not there, so they do the best of. One of your best videos. Yeah. A replay.
Oh man, that would be hilarious. Seriously, have you ever done screenshots? Like people take screenshots of you and you're looking at them all, and some are always like, "Yay!" I'm like, "Oh, look at their pretty screenshots," and then mine are like, "Don't screenshot that, people." So, all right, everybody, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.